Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. After WWE gave their main roster talent an ultimatum for the end of October, hand over your Twitch, Cameo, and most importantly, tout accounts, or face fines, suspensions, or firings, the company took the most extreme measure last Friday of releasing Zelina Vega for not just defying their ban on wrestlers having their own third-party platforms, but for also opening up even more, starting an OnlyFans page to sell her cosplay photos, which include pictures of her as Nurse Joy from Pokemon. Just gonna sign up to that now. Because I support unionization too. It was an admirably brave stand for Vega, allegedly costing her job during the pandemic. And after becoming emotional last weekend as her A to Z on YouTube on Twitch channel, yes, I agree that is a confusing name, was flooded with new subscribers, she's spoken out for the first time about how she's been handling her release.
The past week obviously has been hell, like literal hell. Like, I will say Friday was the worst day, or let's just say it was the worst day of my life since 2001. When you hear about me in the social media world, sometimes a lot of misconception or misinformation can be spread. And it's important to me for you guys to get to know me. And, you know, there's a lot of things that I was in life. I was someone who let people walk all over me. I was someone who was very insecure and I didn't stand up for myself. I didn't take myself, like, I didn't put myself here. When people see the real side of me, they see the real story that I've put out. That's who I am. You know, and I've learned to grow as a person. I've known to realize my worth. I've known to stand up for who I am, but at the same time, appreciate the things that I've gotten along the way.
And according to Dave Meltzer, that worth is one of the main reasons why she's defied WWE's third-party services ban, with her making more money from her social media than she was with her WWE downside guarantee. But while many fans on social media tweeted their support, her former colleagues in WWE have been uncomfortably silent. Until yesterday, with the exception of Paige, not a single WWE contracted talent has publicly addressed Vega's release. A marked difference from how many WWE stars tweeted either their condolences or disgust during the company's mass firings back in April. They've undoubtedly reached out privately, but are presumably too afraid to do so openly. Maybe Andrade's well-wishing tweet will be the first to break that dam, who's now posted on Instagram, "Gracias, fist bump emoji. Thank you," with a picture of them both doing the Tranquilo pose, leading his long-term business manager to reply, "Thank you for everything, Andrade. Fist emoji back. Being with you will forever be one of the highlights of my career, both professionally and personally. You're one of the best in the world, and it was an honor. Te quiero mucho, hermano," which is Spanish for "I really love you, brother. Thank you, Google Translate." Folded hands emoji. #extra tranquillo. But someone far more important has reached out to her on Twitter. Potential Wrestlers Union segue. Thanks for your support on Patreon. He's no jackass, Dano, and Shield Maiden, the Zornice. Following Vega's release, the Screen Actors Guild, the biggest actors union in the United States, reached out on Twitter to discuss one of the most controversial ideas in wrestling history, a professional wrestlers union. And it seems that wasn't just a fleet to disappear in 24 hours. That joke's for all my social media manager peeps out there, as they've now both posted how their talks have continued offline, with SAG tweeting, "Powerful conversation with Thea Trinidad, Zelina Vega today. We support her and others as they work to protect and empower themselves," which Vega quote retweeted, "Very powerful indeed. Thank you all for the pleasant conversation and insight. Because WWE seems like such a lovely, nurturing place to work, maybe you'd be interested in their latest job advertisement, as they're hiring a new lead writer to work for their creative team, whose key responsibilities will include manage a team of writers and producers to build compelling stories that capture a global audience fitting multiple demographics, but mostly the over 50s. Lead writing team discussions in brainstorming and laying out weekly episodes and long-term storylines to be torn up 4 hours before the show goes on air. Develop clearly defined yet emotionally sophisticated characters for a diverse group of WWE superstars through thought-provoking, captivating and creative storylines. And then break up their tag teams and compile, write, edit and take ownership of the drafts for their respective shows weekly, including all promotions, graphics, replays and pop culture references that should be at least 30 years out of date. Maybe then you could solve that annual problem of Survivor Series not having any stakes. Genuine critique of WWE's bragging rights motivation segue. Ever since the brand split came back into effect in 2016, WWE has built Survivor Series around the fierce rivalry of what colour your t-shirt is. Over the years, we've seen Siege Warfare, Becky Lynch's star-making bloody nose, and in 2019, a new yellow t-shirt colour being added with NXT invading the main roster. But aside from Drew McIntyre suddenly showing up on last Friday's SmackDown, there hasn't been any of the usual cross-brand invasion angles to build the red versus blue pay-per-view gimmick, with creative instead booking in-ring promos on your own shows rather than turning up on your opposite night. And the speculated reason, like pretty much everything else in 2020, is for COVID. Of the 3 reported major outbreaks of the disease in WWE so far, a portion could be blamed on having too many performers appear across multiple shows. Since Retribution were reportedly forced to self-isolate after effectively being contaminated by NXT talent in September, WWE has understandably more strongly enforced the idea of each roster being its own isolated bubble, which probably means this should have been the one year Survivor Series isn't the one-time Raw and SmackDown superstars go head-to-head in direct competition. We'll have to see if there's any invasion angles for tonight's go-home episode of SmackDown, as everyone will be mixing on Sunday for the pay-per-view anyway. But according to Fightful, the last member of the men's blue brand team will be Big E. He was originally meant to be added after winning a qualifying match on last week's show, but that angle was cut due to time constraints. Which can only mean one thing. They're gonna change their minds last minute and Undertaker to Team SmackDown confirmed. This year's Survivor Series is built around the 30-year career of The Undertaker, where it's claimed he'll finally say farewell to WWE. Fool me 14 times, dead man. As a result, he's been doing all the media appearances and interviews to promote the event. And in an interview with the New York Post, the infamous story where Undertaker was ready to beat up Shawn Michaels if he didn't drop the WWF title to Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14 came up. Early on in my career, and when Shawn was there, I didn't care for Shawn personally. I thought he was an arrogant little sh**. That being said, still no one I would rather get in the ring with it and work with. That's just how good he is. The whole time in my head, I'm like, I was gonna smash you if you didn't drop that belt to Steve. But yeah, he's a completely different person. I love him to death now, but yeah, that's the story. I was sitting there, hands taped, ready to do whatever I needed to be done. Maybe you could get The Undertaker to tell you more stories on his new Cameo account. As seemingly in the launch of their reported partnership with the platform, WWE has announced the dead man will record 30 limited edition personalised video messages which he will fulfill at Survivor Series for $1,000 each. What would you get The Undertaker to say to you in your personalised cameo? Tell me your funniest ideas in the comments down below. Go over to WrestleTalk.com and make it your homepage for all the latest breaking wrestling news, including the Thunderdome moving, Daniel Bryan getting a new haircut, when Alexa Bliss's WWE contract expires, a new main roster call-up, and who won this week's Wednesday Night War. And also set a reminder for this Sunday, because not only is it Survivor Series, WrestleTalk will be hosting the first ever Survivor Jams live reactions, with the authority of me, Chopper Pete, and Louis Dengore versus Team Lukewarm of Luke Owen, Adam Blompier, and Laurie Blake. And you better believe we've got a video package for that. It's only 2 weeks now. until Survivor Series, it is Survivor Jams.
It's the one night of the year where you and I go head-to-head in direct competition for the championship.
It's me, Chopper Pete Cornell, and here to announce who else is joining the All Authority. It's my man, Laurie Blake.
What do you mean, joining the All Authority? This constant bickering, and now there's teams, and now everyone has to be involved. You two, you're like children.
I thought we had an understanding, but you're abstaining. You're definitely not going to be part of a Survivor Jams team.
That's it.
On the AEW podcast, I'm going to announce the third man.
What?
Because that was always the plan. I wasn't holding out for Laurie. Welcome to the All Authority. No gay. Louis Dangour.
Who? Oh, it's Louis.
It wasn't even, I guess, a hard decision after you decided to make me as some sort of meme with the whole Get Rowdy thing. Who was the first person to message me and say, "Are you all right with this?" It was Mr. Davis. So why has he asked me to be part of the All Authority? Well, I've got previous at knowing how to beat you for a title, Luke.
I bet you're shaking in your little booties, aren't you?
I don't know. Because I've got people.
But yes, we will be back at 3 p.m. tomorrow, live for the Survivor Series predictions. And who are you going to bring with you?
I'm about to unveil the first member of my team. The second member will be unveiled tomorrow. But my friend, you are going to struggle against this lineup.
Well, by gum, it's only Survivor Series 2020 predictions time. You look completely unfazed, not nervous at all. Luke, where's your final member, mate?
I feel like the third man has been here the whole time.
Oh, for God's sake.
No.
It was a ruse!
You thought you were going to get me, and as soon as you didn't, you panicked, and look at the chumps you got on your team. I've won the predictions competition 3 times, son. In your face, mate. Team Lukewarm, gonna win.
Become an honorary member of Team Lukewarm or the All Authority by buying a t-shirt at WrestleShop.com and join WrestleTalk's Patreon to get me and Luke reviewing one of the best Survivor Series matches of all time, but boy did it have its problems with Survivor Series 2001, which has just gone live for Pledgehammers. And are AEW and Impact working together? Click the video on the right to find out more. I've been Mr. Davis, your soon-to-be 3-time Jam That Champion.